The Seed of Compassion, Lessons from the Life and Teachings of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, illustrations by Bao Lu. I was born in Taxter, in the Amdo province of northeastern Tibet. It was a place of tall mountains, clear streams, blue skies, and many animals: mastiffs, sheep, horses, yaks, scorpions, chickens, and cows. Our home was in the shadow of the Ami Chiri, the mountain that pierces the sky. Mine was a family of farmers. My father would spend the day tending to and selling horses, and I would stay at home with my mother and help her with the daily work. We would plant barley, buckwheat, and potatoes, but those were not the only seeds we planted. From the time I was very young, my mother planted in me the seed of compassion by the examples she set. She raised me on a diet of love. It was often my job to collect the eggs from our hens. I took my duty very seriously. While my mother cooked, the aroma of kore, a delicious bread, wafting from our kitchen, I would play in the courtyard with scorpions for company. Sometimes I would sit on the roof of our house. It was the perfect place to watch the mountains reach toward the sky. I'd imagine what the older boys were doing as they accompanied our fathers herding. I couldn't wait to be big enough to do that. My other favorite perch was atop my mother's shoulders. From there, I felt like one of the older boys. I was taller than my father, and getting around was so easy. When I wanted to go left, I would simply tug on my mother's left ear. When I wanted to go right, I would give her right ear a tug. And if she didn't understand my instructions or chose to ignore them, I would kick my legs. Although my mother could not teach me to read or write, I learned so much from her. I was often a naughty boy, but she always treated me with kindness. Sometimes I think she may have been a little too patient with me. I was a bit spoiled. But that was her nature. She was this way with everyone around her. One year, when there was a famine in our region and many families did not have enough to eat, my mother gave whatever food we had stored to our neighbors and those in need. She showed me that it was possible to treat all people with warm-heartedness and to help ease their suffering. Like a tall tree never forgets the seed it sprouted from, I've often returned to the seed of compassion that my mother planted. As a small child at home, as a young monk in training, and today, as I spread the message of compassion around the world. When I was almost 3, monks came from the capital, Lhasa, looking for the child who was the reincarnation of the Dalai Lama, the spiritual leader of the Tibetan Buddhists. No one in my family could have expected that I was that child, least of all me. But after passing a series of tests where I correctly identified the belongings of the previous Dalai Lama and held them with a great sense of familiarity, our visitors were satisfied that they had found the boy they were looking for. And so, at age 4, I made the journey to Lhasa in a caravan. It took 3 months, and as news spread, more people joined the procession. I rode in a beautiful palanquin with my brother. We were rambunctious boys, and every time we roughhoused inside the cozy cabin, we would knock it off balance. We had to be separated for the rest of the journey. In Lhasa, after I turned 6, my formal education began, and my days were filled with studies. In the few hours I had for personal time, I loved to puzzle over how things worked. I would spend hours taking apart toys, clocks, and watches and putting them back together again, or exploring the mechanics of movie projectors and cars. This occasionally got me into trouble. As I trained to be a monk, I studied many subjects, like Buddhist philosophy and history, logic and reasoning, metaphysics, poetry, medicine, Tibetan, and Sanskrit. One topic that I loved was compassion, because of the seed that had been planted by my mother. I believe that is what led me to free the people held in the prison next to Potala Palace, where I lived. I have spent my entire life studying this topic, and I know it is my duty to help make the world a more compassionate place. If you think about it, when it comes to the 5 basic senses, we humans are not all that impressive. The elephant has a long nose and can pick up faint scents from much greater distances than we can. The hare can turn his tall ears forward and backward to pick up sounds that we would miss. The eagle has eyes that can spot the tiniest prey from far up in the sky. It is not the use of our senses that makes us special. But only humans have the ability, with discipline and effort, to train the mind. It is what makes us different from all other animals. It is our superpower, and it is where the seed of compassion thrives. You already have the ability to see genuine compassion in others. Think about this. When you're playing in the schoolyard and a group welcomes you with a smile, do you want to play with them or with the group who scowls at you? From self-confidence grows compassion, and from compassion, strength blooms. Compassion is based in the mind, the part of us that is uniquely human. It is where you might grow strongest and how you can create something positive in the world, because compassion is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of strength. We must protect and nurture this seed. When someone disagrees with you, ask yourself, why might they feel this way? When someone is upset or hurt, ask, what might I do to help? It takes practice. Tomorrow presents another opportunity for you to try again. I have many responsibilities in my life, but helping to make the world a more compassionate place is the most important one. We cannot change the past. We can only learn from it, but the future we can change.